Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aquarius Weekly Tarot Bite reading for the week of July 24th through the 30th. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for Soul Illumination. Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Lauren. Now this is a quick look at the energy for the week ahead for the sign of Aquarius. And it's meant to be about 10 minutes or so nothing too crazy here. Now we're looking specifically at the two themes that came out prominently in the general collective reading, which is posted on my channel for the week, which was flexible and the high priestess. Now the way that these kind of presented themselves was flexible was really asking us to stay flexible this week because things might be a little crazy, but really to stay kind of the eye of the storm. And to realize that things are starting to shift this week based on our new intentions, based on the new version of ourselves we want to start to assert out into the world. And the High Priestess was all about staying true to that intuitive feeling of what we're being called to move towards, what we're being called to actually call into ourselves as part of the new. Really keeping our eye focused on the dream, that kind of dream that comes from the heart, that comes from our intuitive center, and using that to anchor us in what's changing around us. Okay, so what came out right off the bat for flexible for you, Aquarius, was the High Priestess and the Prince of Swords. So there's the High Priestess again. You got double High Priestess energy here. Prince of Swords is technically the Knight of Swords in this deck. So there's a sense here of there's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to come out, and you know what that is. Now, that might be what causes the chaos in your experience this week. That might kind of shift things a little bit. It can also be that you know that someone is trying to come into you to share a truth or to tell you something. And there's a sense here of maybe you having to stay flexible based on that knowledge. When we think about staying flexible, there's could be, what came through intuitively in the collective message was understanding that when we're starting to call in the new, or when we're starting to embrace the new that wants to come into our experience, that it doesn't always come in the way that we're expecting. That a lot of times we will start to move towards something and we almost get kind of pushed in another direction and we think, oh my gosh, this isn't working, it's not happening, it's not what I want. And in reality, that gentle push is the guiding hand of spirit saying, you got in the boat, you started to go, great, I'm so happy for you. And I want you to go towards that, but something that's even better. And so I'm going to just gently course correct you. And there's a sense here almost of maybe for some of you, you know that there's a need to express something about the new, and maybe you're a little afraid that, again, it might not be received in the way that you're hoping. It might not, it might be that push that what you say is the push that will kind of, course correct. And that is a little scary to think about. It can also be that maybe someone else is coming in to share something with you, and that there may be this feeling as well that, oh my gosh, this might be that changing point. This might be where we kind of have to drift from what I thought was going to happen. And so keep that in mind, that if you're dealing with someone else, this might actually be what they're sharing with you might still be what is heralding in what you want. It just might be coming in through a different avenue than you're expecting. Now, if this is you, Aquarius, this could be literally you've been sitting with something for a while and now it's finally time to share the truth. And then just stay flexible to how it's taken, because however it's taken by another person or by others in your life, or what the repercussions of this truth is, they are or will become, this is something that needs to come out. It's something as part of the new you. It's something that's going to allow for something to change in your experience that is going to be more supportive of this new version of yourself. So let's see here. For the High Priestess, since we have that out twice, this is really saying trust your intuition, trust your intuitive knowing. It also speaks to having already made a decision. You already know what that is. Now this is the week to share it, if you so choose to. Obviously, free will always is at play in our lives. But for those of you who are feeling called to share, speak on a truth, and speak on a decision possibly, then this would be that week. Let's see, what do you need to know about this High Priestess for Aquarius? What does Aquarius need to know about the High Priestess? Very quiet. That might just be it. It's what's being hidden. It's what's under the surface. That is the one thing with the High Priestess, is that she sits with an internal knowing, but she generally doesn't take action. She just sits there. And so, again, this might be the week where it's like, okay, I know you've been sitting there for quite some time and you don't want to share. There's something that you have been hiding, but this is the week to finally, I think, open that door through communication. Okay, so we had quite a few cards come out on the table, but only one came out face up, and that's the Princess of Wands, which is technically the Page of Wands in this deck. That's the energy of play. I think this came out last week for you guys, or in another one of your readings, where this is all about going out there with that sense, that childlike sense of freedom around, I'm just going to do what feels good. I'm going to go out there and play with my passions. I'm going to be curious as to what life is going to bring me. And I think for many of you, there's this part of yourself that wants to be freed, that wants to go out there, that wants to embrace this childlike energy. And that's really what I think you want to speak on. You want to speak on embracing that aspect of yourself. Now let's see if there's anything else that wants to come out. So we also have the Four of Swords, which is a card of reflection. It's a card actually where we kind of stop and we really take a look at the wounds of the past, the stories in our mind that kind of guide us, and to really look at where perhaps our own truth, our own story has become hidden under the stories and the wounds of others that have been placed there, meaning this would be like us carrying maybe parental wounding with us, the story of your parents' failed relationship and how it broke your mother's heart, or your father couldn't handle something, and you carry that as a story of what a relationship can become, or what a relationship is between two people. And then the reality of it is that was somebody else's wounding, and somehow it crept into your life experience on the mental aspect of your experience. And suddenly you're realizing, oh my gosh, my truth is that I do want a loving, supportive relationship, and I wouldn't choose to act in that way as my parents did. And so I'm going to maybe, put that aside and say, you know what, the truth is, I really do want to go out there and meet someone. I want to find someone who lights my fire. I want to go out there in the dating world and just see if I can find someone who wants to share in the adventure with me a little bit. Like, oops, sorry guys. There's a sense of that kind of coming through, really maybe seeing where, again, there's been wounding from the past or other people's stories of challenge or hardship that have come in to really block the truth of what you know for yourself, what you want for yourself. So there's a sense here that, yes, we can all have a life that feels like fun, even in small ways. And this is the week that maybe you need to tell somebody about that. I'm going to go ahead. So have a couple more minutes. I'm going to pull just a couple clarifiers here. I want to see a little bit more about what is this truth that needs to be shared with this Knight of Swords coming in here. What is this Knight of Swords? What do I need to know about the Knight of Swords for Aquarius? Okay, there's a big long story. That was a little too long. Sometimes I'll take those, but there was about 7 cards there. So we have the Chariot. Yeah, there's something here about sharing, like, hey, it's time for us to get a move on it. Or it's time for me to get a move on it. The Chariot is a card of getting back into the driver's seat of your life. It's really speaks to also getting back into the driver's seat with the intention of moving towards some place that ultimately feels like home for you. That's why it's ruled by Cancer. And there is a sense of getting your head and your heart in alignment. That's the Black and the White Sphinx. It's also kind of getting our physical aspect of our experience in alignment with our spiritual aspect and saying, okay, I see the bigger picture. I see what I want for myself. It's time to go. So for many of you, there's a sense here of telling somebody it's time. It's time to get a move on it. And where are we moving to? We're moving towards something that feels like a playful child. Whether this is saying I want to move toward, I mean, this could even be you telling somebody like, hey, I want to bring a child into my life. I want to have a child. I want to move closer to places that have children. I want to move closer to my grandchild, or I want to move someplace where I get to play. This would be like saying like, hey, it's time for me to retire. It's time for me to get back to that fun place. So let's get a move on it and let's figure out how I can make this happen. Let's see if there's anything else around that Knight of Swords that wants to come out here. Anything else? I feel like that might be it for you guys this week. So there's a sense of just sharing a truth around getting a move on it. Getting a move on it to either, this can even be, sometimes the Chariot can come in when we actually do want to move, physically move. So this could be like saying, I do want to move to be closer to the grandchildren. I do want to move to a new location that is going to make us all feel more free, including myself. I do want to physically move just to, it could just be like something that you want to experience. It could be moving to a new job. It could be, if you're thinking about it from those terms, but there's a sense here of wherever you're feeling called to unleash a sense of play, sense of childlike kind of wonder, and bring that back into your experience, whether it's through a child or whether it's just through releasing your inner child. There's a sense here of knowing that it's time to speak on that, knowing that it's time to say, okay, let's make this happen. I need to get back into the driver's seat, and it's time to start making that move. Bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Cups. Some of you may be facing a little bit of, there's a disappointment in the past. Something didn't quite work out in the way that you had wanted. And yet there's two cups here. So this really does speak to leaning on the support that you have currently in your life and being grateful for that. But I think also just it's time to move on. That's what I'm really feeling here. It's time to move on from anything that was disappointing in the past, and to say it's time to move towards this energy. And this energy that is, again, free from the wounds of the past or even the wounds of others. This could even be like saying, it's time for me to move out of my parents' home because I'm just done with dealing with that, maybe a tumultuous relationship or something like that. There could be something at play here for some of you. All right, so I'm going to leave that there because we're getting a little too deep, too specific into the message. But I think the key this week is if you feel that intuitive calling at some point to speak a truth as to where you'd like to see movement in your life, this is the week that will be very supportive of that for you. All right, I will leave it here, Aquarius. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website to view a list of my services. Otherwise, I will start to release the full tarot scope for each sign for the month of August, starting at the end of this week and moving into the beginning of next week if you'd like to view those. So, if I don't see you there, I'll see you again for the next weekly collective reading. All right. Bye, everyone.